Welcome to the Africablockchain.info, the show number 4. Yes. Here it is, Ahmed, alias Max, in tonight's show. How are you, bro?
Great, doing well. Super excited for today's show. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the next industry, the industry 4.0, and we'll be talking more about NFTs and its world. And today we have Kenza Zweri, that we will be going to introduce now. She's very active in the NFT world as a curator, collector, and NFT art specialist between Tunis, let's say Middle East, North Africa.
Okay, great. So let's introduce her.
Yeah.
Kenza, you're welcome.
Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much
A
for accepting
pleasure.
our invitation. And Kenza is a curator and NFT specialist and digital arts, let's say NFT art specialist, more in the Middle East, North Africa. That's the focus.
Well, well, not really, I would say. I mean, Africa is definitely the focus, but then pretty much open to worldwide. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it, I'm pretty sure. And I'll be able to kind of explain what I've done until now and what are my areas of focus as well.
Great. And I think let's start off with what is an NFT. Like, let's start from that. Is an non-fungible token.
Oh, all right. Well, let me kind of explain what an NFT is when it comes to art, because to me that's my area of expertise. Because an NFT can actually be anything. It's just a digital asset that is encrypted in the blockchain. And then you'll have to explain what the blockchain is. So hopefully one of your previous episodes
Yeah,
covered
we
that
did.
part.
We did.
Awesome. So when it comes to NFT art, it's really just, to me again, NFTs are just a way to sell digital art. And digital art is not something new. It's been, here for decades. I want to even include the movies as digital assets to this day. Music, it can be digital paintings, it can be animations, it can be a very wide range of things, photography as well, as long as it's digital. And basically, artists today can take their work, so their digital work, and they would do what we call minting, so uploading their works on different NFT platforms and sell them in crypto, but also in fiat money, depending on the platform that they're using. And so an NFT is really NFT art, even though I don't really like the term, it's just like digital art that you decide to sell through those NFT platforms.
So if we try to explain it, so digital art has been there, let's say, for decades, and decades in the digital world is already can be perceived as hundreds of years. So already people are doing digital art, and let's say NFTs are more of a new form to enable creatives and artists to reach more people. It's more of a new kind of providing more value to the digital art, that piece that they want to sell, and enable them maybe to cut down also some middlemen that used to cut off much more commission on their part. What is your comment on that?
Yeah, I think so. When I first entered the NFT space, it was back in March 2020. And my first impression was like, wow, this is amazing, especially for the Tunisian art scene, because we're so small, right? And we have like a few galleries. It's not a huge network. And most artists have a hard time managing to export themselves to an international audience and be able to kind of have their work all over the world. So I'm like, wow, now you can just use social media and those communities to help you show your work to an international audience. Of course, you need at least a PC and an internet connection to be able to do that. So it's not open to everyone, and we need to keep that in mind. It still requires a few tools, but once you have them, and as an artist yourself, then you really just need not so much in the end to be able to connect with those communities. I need to say that it can be overwhelming because there's a lot of self-marketing that you need to do, especially because you get rid of that middleman part that, you know, usually does the work for you. So a gallery would go and try and sell your work and showcase it. Now, if you're an NFT artist, as we say, well, you're kind of doing this by yourself. But that being said, I do think there's still middlemen in the NFT space, and I think the most obvious one would be the platforms themselves. So the platforms that are selling your NFTs, some are doing a lot of work, kind of highlighting, some artists doing, you know, say right now we're in June, this is Pride Month. Super Rare, for example, which is an NFT platform, is creating Super Queer. So just like trying to have LGBTQI plus artists for just this month. So it's like, there's still people kind of pulling the strings, if I may say, but it's still way more open than the traditional art world, and faster as well. So you can today be like have 100 followers and tomorrow find yourself with 1,000 and already selling your pieces. So it's a very different kind of environment that is faster and I would say more accessible, but still there are some obstacles that we can still like notice. So yeah.
Okay, so to sum up, like what you have said right now, so the new value, let's say for NFTs, it is enabling creatives to have more access to, let's say, sell the piece of art, and it's much more democratizing the way of access to selling, and it's a new
Yeah.
way, this digital way, but still there is capacity building on the side of the creative to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So there is a kind of new know-how that a creative must have in order to be really in the NFT world. So what might be like your first advice for someone who has a new piece of digital art and want like to enter the NFT world? What is like main things that they would need to do?
Well, I think I would say Twitter has become kind of the main social media that those communities are using. So I would say download Twitter, make yourself an account, and then start and see which are the communities that you could eventually join and connect with. For example, if you're an African artist, there is the African NFT Club, which I highly recommend, which is doing a lot of support and guidance for any African artist in the space. And then you also have Cyberbat, which is a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization that I am part of. And a DAO is just see it as an association, but basically everything is kind of tied to the blockchain still. So Cyberbat, for example, is really here to try and highlight more African artists, trying to onboard them, try to guide them, support them, and also especially increase representation of artists of African descent. So I think, again, my first piece of advice would be really like just go into Twitter, look at those NFT communities and find your crowd. And usually people are very open and really like eager to help as well. I really met so many wonderful people who helped me like build whatever I built for the last 2 years. So it would definitely start from what are those relationships that you can create and nurture through time. So that's the first. Definitely.
Thank you for the answer. I have a question. Uh, what NFTs provide to the creators? I mean, what is the added value for creators instead of commercializing its masterpiece, let's say, on the traditional markets? What's the advantage of selling them using NFTs? Let's say
I think,
monetize
yeah.
through NFTs. Yeah.
Well, it's not just about money, I would say. Of course, the main advantage is that you get royalties out of your sale. So, for example, you sell your first NFT, a primary sale, then that specific collector decides to sell it again. You will get a percentage out of that second sale, and so on and so forth. So this system is really rarely seen in the traditional art market, because sometimes you can't even trace it back to the original collector, or like it gets lost in the process. You don't know who owns what. So this traceability is super important, and you can like that's such a nice benefit for digital artists. But then, and I just mentioned it, it's that traceability that is super interesting for artists. Being sure that the work is authentic, that it's traceable, and that everything is transparent, basically. So one problem we have in Tunis, for example, is that some artworks, we have a lot of copies of, I don't know, Zubair Turki, or like fake Gurji, like so many of them. And it's really hard to be able to authenticate like which ones are the real ones. And the blockchain actually enables you to trace it back to the original owner or creator. So no copies are possible, actually. You can't fake, or like, sometimes people will tell you, oh, but I can just download this and mint it and it's going to be my work. But no, it doesn't work like that. Everything's traceable, so you can't really lie. So I think that's also super important for artists. And I would say the last thing and the last benefit, which we mentioned it in the very beginning, is how you can quickly connect with people and find opportunities really around the world. And you don't have to move, right? So if you want to send your work and be showcased in the Venice Biennale or any gallery in Hong Kong and you're in Tunis, you can do it easily. Of course, it's always better when you have the possibility of traveling. And one good thing about the Web3 space is that the budget, like budget-wise for those projects, they're very different than Web2. So it might be actually possible to flew you from Tunis to Hong Kong with the budgets that some events have and the great sponsors that they get.
Great, great. Thank you so much for explaining that. But so I have another question, like to jump on the same topic. Do you think that NFTs are disrupting like the management side of art, or is it like enabling management, like for agents to deliver more value to the artists themselves? How do you see NFTs?
Um, I mean, one of the main, I hope that the use that NFTs, like how people are going to use NFTs in the future, especially in the traditional art world, comes with two elements. The first one is that um, digital artists before NFTs, or like before like exploring the blockchain, if they wanted to sell their work, you would, as a collector, would get like a USB, which you could eventually lose. So I hope that in galleries would use NFTs as just like making sure that the collector would never lose that. Of course, there's also the cloud or Google Drive, but it's always, I think, more glamorous to have an NFT somehow, because it's still like you're securing it somehow on the blockchain. And again, that comes back to the whole thing of traceability, authenticity. But then the second thing would be when you have a physical piece, so physical artwork, painting, a sculpture, your certificate, authenticity certificate could be an NFT. Because again, as I said in the very beginning, an NFT can be anything that you just decide to encrypt in the blockchain. So if you decide to make of your certificate, your art certificate, proving that this artwork has been done by such artists, you could NFT is like you can basically make it an NFT, and then the collector would have this forever as a piece of like your certificate of authenticity, basically. So that could be a use of NFTs that you could see in the traditional art market that could help manage kind of this the production of artworks and make sure that like being able to trace them somehow.
Okay, so like the first main value, let's say the spotlight main value is like the authenticity of the art that you are providing to, let's say, the end customer. So this is like the main value. So this brings also to my next questions. Like, you are as a curator, how do you apply these practices? Like, can you walk us through like the onboarding process you would do to a digital artist? And For instance, if you can bring an example, like for Mono Gallery that you have recently opened in Tunisia, it's like the first one. I think it's the first one in North Africa, right? So
Yes. I mean, it's we play on the words a little bit because it's a micro gallery, so it's probably the first one in the whole continent.
yeah,
But of course, there were other like NFTs display in the past in some other countries. But for Tunis, it's a first anyway, what a micro gallery or not. And Mono, yeah, so we launched it in May 16 with the work of Linda Dunya, who's a Senegalese Lebanese artist and who's actually the founder of the DAO I'm part of, so Cyberbats. So she's incredible, and she provided us with this generative art piece. So I wanted Linda because it's someone that I really look up to, and I believe has a very strong artistic like statement. And what she has been doing in the space is also fantastic. She's been fighting a lot for more representation of African artists and also kind of really fighting for more diversity, which I am also trying to do right now. So with Mono, what happened is that so I'm not alone in this. My partner is Shiran Ben Abdelaziz, who was used to be the director of the Fondation Rambourg in Tunis. And he's also been in the space for quite some time now and getting more interested in it. So we started talking about it as like having Mono as an NFT gallery. And we purchased a screen, we put it there. And Mono is particular because you don't get into it. Like it's not a gallery that opens, it's like an unbreakable door with a small window, and you take a look at the artwork through the window. And the whole experience was actually to kind of push people to immerse themselves into the space. So it's in the Medina, like in the center of the old city, and it's in the middle of the street, so it kind of contrasts a lot with the architecture and the surroundings. And only like two people can actually stand in front of the door to look at the artwork. So it really is an experience, and that's what we wanted to do. And curation wise, I mean, those past 2 years I had the chance to meet with incredible artists. So I was literally just sending emails being like, oh, would you like to like have your work at Mono? We'd love to have you there. And then we basically are not operating like a gallery because we're just taking a curatorial fee. So it's not like, yeah, it's very different. Like, and we're not representing those artists. And again, in this space, it's very open, decentralized. There's not actually this idea of being represented by an NFT gallery, or it's so yeah. So it was just like very very spontaneous. And what we wanted to do is really like kind of show groundbreaking works from NFT artists. And again, I don't like the term, but it's just helps with the conversation right now. So artists making NFTs, let's say, and also being able to educate a little bit, because what we want to do is every time there's a new artworks, and that's every 2 weeks, we'd like to host small like gatherings where we could talk about these things. And I really really want to see more Tunisian artists showcasing their work at Mono. So this year we're actually going to partner with Interference, with a Tunisian artist. And then next year probably we'll have more Tunisian artists. I just need to find them. So if you know anyone, please send me their profiles. It's really important. And I also want to meet with them and see how we can help them get into the space, understand a bit more how it works, and also like really develop digital art. Because I feel like we've been stuck for a long time with anything that is paintings and sculptures. And I want to see, I know there's a younger generation that has like was born in digital. So I know that maybe the first like art practice they go for is actually digital. So yeah, so Mono was a kind of a spontaneous project that we're now going to develop.
I have actually three questions. The first one is do you think that old pieces like the Rembrandt and the let's say Picasso.
Yes.
Do you think that these old pieces will be backed by NFTs in the future or not?
Oh, but there already have been. So there's a few companies. One of them, just like that I know, is La Collection. So La Collection has been doing a partnership with the British Museum, and they have been actually digitalizing some artworks, like famous artworks, masterpieces. And actually, a unit London has also done that. So it's a gallery in London, and with the Uffizi Gallery and some other institutions, Italian institution, they have worked on a project with digital copies of six masterpieces, Italian masterpieces.
Yeah.
So I think this practice is going to be developed more and more because it's really a good way of digitalizing and like archiving and documenting past works and some works that might even at some point could disappear. One interesting use is that you can see something similar happening with metaverse. So I know it's not our topic today, but still I think it's important. La Grotte de Lascaux, for example, is no longer available, like, and you can't enter it anymore because they have opened it for so long. Mushrooms have like grew on the paintings, and so they closed it. However, there's a company, and I'm sorry I don't recall the name, but they have worked on reconstruction of the grotte. With VR, you can actually go through it and like visit it. So it's a new way of like at the same time preserving a space that is part of our heritage as like humans, but also at the same time still providing this experience. But of course it's with VR and not everyone also is comfortable with that, but I think it's a good alternative, let's say, and a new way of using this new technology, right? So yes, I would say we'll use it and we're already there.
And my other question is, uh, on a practical point of view, I'm really curious of knowing how can we differentiate an NFT backed work of art compared to the others? Is there a logo, something that differentiates them on a physical point of view? And how do you, let's say, convert a physical work of art into an NFT?
Oh, that's a
For the
complicated question. I
physical
don't
ones,
think.
because I know that there are some work of arts
Yeah,
that are digital, but for the physical ones, what is the
I
process?
mean, I don't think you should digitalize physical pieces. So if you're like a painter and you say, "Oh, I also want to be part of like the NFT movement, whatever, blah blah blah. I'm just gonna take a photo of my work and put it online, and it's gonna be my NFT." I really don't encourage to do that. Either
Okay.
you use it as your certificate of authenticity, again, like coming back to that, and that's a good use of it, but then it needs to be the same collector of your physical piece and of your NFT because they go together. But honestly, I wouldn't just like do digital version of your physical paintings or physical sculpture. To me, again, it doesn't make sense. Maybe to some other people it does, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't encourage it.
So you're encouraging creators to make digital work of art to be
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Or either use it as
understand.
like a certificate. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, technically, on technical point of view, your way of thinking is more logical. I agree
Yeah,
with you
well,
on this point.
yeah.
Okay, so Kenza, if I am a digital artist today, mostly based in Tunisia, and I want to be part of Mono Gallery, what should I do?
Oh, contact me and show me your work. Like, it's like I need to see your portfolio. I need to see the work. I won't lie to you. The curation of Mono, and I'm not saying this because it's a project of mine and Shiran, but it's really like it's top curation. Like the artists that we're showcasing are established artists in the NFT space. So their work is kind of high level. So what I'm looking at Tunisian artists right now is also that kind of maturity in their works. Of course, we're open to also having emerging artists and younger artists. That's definitely a positive, like okay, but at the same time, there's still a certain level. So the Tunisian artist we're going to show in July. His name is Mohamed Mazrani or Google. I think he has that type of like he has that potential, that talent, and also that drive to continue to produce digital artworks. So this is an artist I'm really super excited about, but at the same time, I want to have more. First of all, I want to have more women artists and Tunisian women artists. So I'm open to seeing portfolio. So if you know any digital artists, or if any are actually listening to us right now, do send me your portfolio and let's discuss basically.
Okay, and so I have one, for instance, and she's very new. She is currently building her portfolio. So, what are the criteria that you are using in your curation process? So, like newbies prepare themselves, like to be showcased.
Honestly, there aren't like specific criterias. I will just say one thing for Mono, because it's just one screen and because it's in a very busy street, I will really encourage the works to be either animated
Mm-hmm.
or like if they are digital paintings or photography, to have the colors super vibrant. Because like aesthetically speaking, and to really do justice to the works. But other than that, I don't have like, I'm really open to discovering anything. It's just, again, it needs to be kind of accomplished, like immature, in the end. Yeah, it's complicated, I guess, to explain curation, but yeah, these are what I'm thinking about right now.
Can we like, for instance, in July, once you showcase Mohammed Mizghani, we can organize like a live show with him, and maybe he can walk us through his design process, and if he went through, let's say, classical ways, and try to compare and maybe give some advices for like the next new generation of artists. I think it's going to be helpful for people to see that this is feasible. So like people have done it, and you can do it too. And this is might be the way. This is how I did it. Maybe they can relate. Maybe they can see things that they are currently doing wrong, and maybe they can, let's say, go on the right path after that.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely.
and what else? So about NFTs. So people, it's like here in Africa blockchain, we try to demystify like the blockchain is just a new technology, and there is multiple ways of applying it. So it's not just cryptocurrency. There are a lot beyond that. So non-fungible token, I think we have used that in stamps when we used to send mail, like to identify and authenticate, because the difference between identification and authentication, when you identify something, you see this is like a piece of art, but authentication is that piece of art made by that guy or that woman. So this is like the difference, and this is the only, I think, technology right now that enables you to authenticate art. Am I right?
Yes, I would say so. But then, well, yeah, I mean, it's nuanced in the sense that for some specific artworks, when they're physical, you know, like it's definitely a job to be able to authenticate works. So of course it helps when you still have some marks, but some works are not signed. Some works are found in like random places, so it's different. But for NFTs, I think, again, like we mentioned it before, it's really easier way to track down digital pieces, and then eventually physical as well. But it's still trickier when it's physical. It's always more difficult.
Yeah.
Kenza, I will be kind of devil's advocate. What do you say to people that see and still see the NFTs as this?
Oh my God. Honestly, I'm not surprised. You know, it's not surprising. It has its advantages. So, okay, let's break it down. Okay, that's why I wanted to define NFT. Like the NFTs we're talking about right now as NFT art. but again, I don't like the term. It's really digital art, and NFTs are just a way of selling it. But then what you just showed me right now is NFT collectibles. So it's a really fun thing, because it's like, you know, we all had, well, I hope so, it's I guess a Pokemon cards, or like most people are familiar with paninis, like the cards of like football players that you collect. So it's not something new, because it's the same idea of collecting kind of those small collectibles in the end, and then the goal is to have the rarest collectibles, right? So it's the same thing. It's just that it's being traded by 40-year-old men. I don't know, but it's like a bit different, and it also has utility behind, and that's, yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about utility in the NFT space, which is kind of, if I own this NFT, okay, what do I get in return? What does it unlock? What are the benefits coming from it besides the value of it? So what you just showed me is the Bored Ape Yacht Club, one of the biggest NFT collection, and they made a brand out of it. So if you have one of those NFTs, you're part of a very like close social club, and it's a brand. You have merch, you have like access to youth parties. Like they really made like this whole brand about it. And I think this is a good example of just like kind of the culture of trading, and also like, you know, it's just a kid's game for grown-ups, I would say. But it's also very good marketing tools. So NFTs can also be used in marketing. So a lot of brands right now have entered the space using NFTs as just like ways of kind of creating loyalty with their users. So you have Gucci entered the NFT space. You have Clinic. You have Nike, like so many brands, and just because it's a new way of engaging with your crowd, and you know, people who have been following you for a while. So yeah, I mean, there's, again, NFTs can be anything. I just think that the collectibles have been kind of on what people think NFTs are, because the media are talking a lot about them, because it's a lot of money behind. So if there's money, there's people talking, and so that's what you will see first. But actually, it's just like 1% of what NFTs are.
Go ahead, I mean.
I have my last question. How do you see the
Okay.
future in Africa and Middle East?
Oh, very bright, to be honest. I mean, Middle East is really something else. I wouldn't even compare Middle East to Africa, because I think they're on a different speed. As you know, Dubai has become kind of the hub for NFTs, developing a lot of projects there. I think Iranian artists at least, have been producing amazing works. Same in Turkey. So I think they're evolving super fast, and you have a lot of investors in that area. So, and I'm sorry, I'm including Iran and Turkey and Middle East is just one of the definition, but you know, it's going to be developed in Abu Dhabi as well, and kind of I feel like this area is a bit still more advanced. In Africa, you have countries like Nigeria that, you know, are the first ones up there in the forefront of crypto and blockchain technology. But you also have like Kenya developing a lot of their work, in Ghana as well. So it's like we're slowly but surely getting there. Our main issue, I think, and I'm just going to talk about Tunisia because I don't want to be talking about other countries I'm not 100% sure about. It's just that our government right now is not recognizing crypto as anything. It doesn't exist for them. So the good thing is that it kind of means it's not illegal. And I've been having conversation with lawyers, so they will tell you, okay, you know, the law is very clear. Everything is legal. The exception is when it's illegal. So if something is not like illegal in this, specifically written as illegal, then it is legal. But where the difficulty is the fact that we cannot own international cards. So we're not allowed to have foreign currency, right? Unless you can justify it. So how are you going to buy crypto if you can't buy with an international card? Of course, there are ways people can gift you a crypto, and that's usually the best way of getting into it. But then again, another problem is there is like, okay, once you gain crypto, how do you convert it back to Tunisian dinars? So it's like a lot of complicated processes that I really hope we'll be able to find like ways to go around it, or new startups will be able to develop that, because we have a lot of projects working on the blockchain, on the metaverse, NFTs. Like, it's not something that we're not interested in or we're not doing work around. It's just that we need a bit more help from our government, and that could help do a lot of things.
Yeah, that's great. And I think one of the projects, as you mentioned, like startups and even let's say more of NGOs, the NGOs would lobby to like to modify the or at least
Yeah.
try to put a legal framework that would define the digital art in the space. But I think, as you know, like innovation is always ahead of regulations. So regulations will come
Yes.
after that. So we had many initiatives. I think you already know about Dar blockchain that currently now having
Yeah.
their own program to support blockchain enabled startups, and it is backed by other like the Dot and the GIZ also has backed an initiative from Dali Belajiza and Karim Shibrak, the diaspora initiative to have Tunisian. It was impact beyond borders. So when you enable people to interact in the same ecosystem and do service exchange, like you have service providers and service seekers, they match there in a decentralized way, and it's all exchanging cryptocurrencies. And also they have in the central bank a sandbox to try to see if that technology is let's say stable enough to be regularized then. And they even started testing APIs between the STB and their platform. So I think that we are, as you said, like slowly but surely going another way. And let us not forget that Nigeria, before legalizing the use of cryptocurrencies, they banned it for like 6 months, and then they saw, oh, we are behind of the curve. We need to do something. So they debanned it in a way and put a legal framework that supported it, and it made them the first let's say investment in the ICO for last year 2021 at I think over 70% in that kind of exchange. Hopefully our country will recognize the opportunity and put even at least not a legal framework, but at least like a sufficient space for decaching, at least in Tunisian
Yeah.
dinars for people who
Yeah.
have that. At least a recognition for like when you put it on certain types of, like, let's say for instance, like your platform. Okay, this is a digital art. Like this will enable more authentication for the value of the art of the artist from Tunisia, and will give him like worldwide access to another channel of distribution of that piece of art. So yeah, so maybe next time we'd bring Mohammed Mizghani, as I mentioned earlier, once his piece of art will be visible, and maybe we would have a chat, the four of us, and you walk us throughout all that process. And maybe you can also, if the screen allows, I think you have more technical on than that, bring like a newbie digital artist and have that kind of, let's say, conversation. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so I think, do you have any last words, Kenza? What are your, let's say, aspirations for the NFT scene for the next, let's say, 6 months for this year?
Oh, wow, 6 months is so long in the NFT space. Everything happens like uh I mean, honestly, I hope I'm not repeating myself, but I think the NFT space right now needs a bit more diversity and representation of the different minorities that exist. I think it's very much Western centric at the moment. So a lot of eyes on the US and Europe, and not enough in the East and kind of, the MENA region as well. And so I hope that through the different initiatives that I work on, and I'm trying to develop, it brings a little bit more of diversity, and another, like, opens the door for other conversations and other types of, like, debates, and yeah, just trying to shine a light on an area that hasn't had a lot of eyes on it since the beginning. So yeah, just hoping that the NFT space will get more and more diverse, and we're try to kind of avoid replicating some of the traditional art world's mistakes, because there's a lot of reform to do. So let's see.
That's great. Great. Thank you so much for accepting to be with us today. And hopefully next time. Yeah. I, I'm bad at saying that phrase. I mean, thanks for like follow us and subscribe at it. Okay, so if you like our live
If you have
show,
a word to conclude, Kenza, you
yeah,
can.
Oh, I can read that sentence for you if you'd like. I really love it. No, but
yeah.
honestly,
So
thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I mean, everyone listening, just follow those guys. They put some time writing that sentence over there.
Don't forget to subscribe.
thank you so much, and we wish you great success for your current endeavors and future ones. Thank you, and
Thank you.
have a good night, everyone. Good
Yeah,
night.
thank you, Kenza, for joining us.
Bye.
Salut.
Bye bye.
Salut. Bye bye.